Welcome back, everybody. Today's video, we're gonna be breaking down my 2025 Tactical Games rifle. This will be my 5th season, and the rifles throughout the years have made some changes. So we're gonna be breaking down what's in it, why we're running it, and what you should run for TAC games. And then we're also got a rifle-only stage for paper, and then we've also got a Tactical Games-only stage as we're gearing up for the season, preparing for it and training for it. We're gonna be talking about why I train the way I do, and so it's gonna be a good video. Let's get to shooting first. All right, before we get into talking about the rifle, we're here to shoot fast because that's what you really want to see, right? Okay, so for today, we're running an accelerator drill setup. So accelerator is kind of like a format, a concept. It's not necessarily always the same distances, but today we are running targets at 7, at 15, and at 25 yards. So what we're gonna be doing is 2 on the lower A zone at 7, 15, 25, reload, and then 2 on the head box at 7, 15, and 25. Goal for today is, can we shoot close to some really low 5s, maybe like 2 Charlies total, and then from a clean perspective, close to 6 as possibly as we can. Now, we're not measuring Charlies on the head box. We're only concerned with just head box only. That's kind of how TAC games work. It's kind of a weird thing. If you're shooting USPSA, obviously you have A and C zone there, but for today's perspective, we only care about hitting the head. All right, got a 6.39, 2 alpha, 1 head box, 1 mic. We got Alpha Charlie, 2 head box, and then we got is that in the same hole? Yeah, same hole. 2 alpha, 2 mic. It's a terrible run. Might be asking yourself, why is there tape on this mag? So I think last year we had to shoot a stage that had like 4 through 1 port and 4 through a different port for rifle. Like it was, you split your mag 8 into 2 different ports. And this was the mag for that round. And this was my reminder as I loaded to be like, oh yeah, make sure you switch ports. So I just leave it there. I don't want to talk about this today. All right, it's that time of year again to break down our 2025 Tactical Games rifle. So we're gonna break this rifle down, in the words I like to say it, from tip to butt. All right, so the first we're gonna talk about muzzle device on this new rifle this year. So we're running, right now we just have a 3-prong flash hider on there. We may or may not keep that. We might be looking into testing out a suppressor this year. So we'll make a different video on that, but for right now we have a 3-prong on here. Obviously, we can't run a break in Tactical Games, so we're running a 3-prong for right now. All right, backing away from the tip, we've got ourselves the handguard. We were running a 15.5-inch long handguard. It is the M-LOK handguard from JP. It's been rock blasted, meaning it's a little bit rougher than normal. In my mind, JP is really known for the rounded handguard. I personally don't think the rounded handguard is the way to go, at least for the Tactical Game sport. For other sports, phenomenal, right? It's great, it feels good in your hands. I like the M-LOK only because it's got flat, straight sides, and we need that when we work and shoot from barriers. Barrel-wise, we are running a 16-inch JP Supermatch, ladies and gentlemen. I have tried out a 14.5 in the past. Wasn't a huge fan, also because if I do happen to change out my muzzle device a couple times this year, I don't have to deal with the pin and weld the thing over and over and over again, so I'm gonna run a 16-inch. Also, because I'm gonna be running a 77 grain for a majority of the year for long range, I don't wanna have any more loss in velocity and run a 14.5-inch barrel. So run a 16-inch barrel with a mid-length gas system on it. So in years past, I've always talked about running a slick rifle, meaning I don't have anything on the handguard, keep it slick, keep it empty pretty much. but last year I tried something new. And that was a barricade stop. And so I'm running a barricade stop from Magpul. This is phenomenal for, I don't use it for gripping if I'm just standing and shooting offhand, but if I'm bracing against a barrier, hence the word barricade stop, I'm gonna use it. It's lovely, it helps out quite a bit. So I'm running a barricade stop, it's about 2/3 of the way down the handguard. Next up, we're talking about the upper I'm running. So from JP, I am running the PSC 21 upper. Essentially, it's a dual charging system, basically. So the letters don't really mean anything, but it's their ability to have a dual charging system. So what that means is I can charge the rifle on the top, like you would normally do if you've had an AR-15 platform before, but also on the side. So I've got a side charging handle that allows me to charge. I say charge so many times it's sounding weird, but I can charge the bolt, I can put it around in the chamber by using the side charging handle. Currently, I am running the competition side charging handle from JP. You can kind of tell it kind of comes off the rifle, a couple inches. It's pretty big. It's easy to get to, hence the word competition. I do have a low profile. They do sell a low profile also, so I'm gonna try out the competition charger for the next couple months. I might switch to the low profile. We're gonna keep that in, ladies and gents. I might switch into a low profile, like I'll also test that out too. Because we compete with our rifle slung so much, whether it's in the front or in the back, that's the main point of contention. I gotta see how well this functions. Is it gonna dig into my body? That kind of perspective. But they're really easy to change out, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, for the lower, we are running JP's ASF20. Basically, it's their ambidextrous lower, their ambi lower. So what that means is I have the option of having the mag release and also the bolt release on both sides of my firearm. For the trigger perspective, I am running the JP's competition trigger, flat gold. The competition trigger essentially means it's about a 3-pound, sub 3-pound trigger pull. And then from the safety perspective, we have a gold short throw safety on here. So for those who follow the tactical games and understand the rules, one big thing we have to combat is we have certain rules for what we can run on a rifle. Well, for one thing, we have to run pretty much, we can't run brakes. So we have to run flash hiders, free prongs, this concept you see here, suppressors. We can't run brakes, basically. So essentially, we have to find other ways inside the rifle to make it shoot really flat. Because if I'm shooting a brake, that thing ain't moving, but I can't shoot a brake because I don't want to kill the guys next to me's eardrums. So in order to combat that, the one good option we have is we can run a buffer system that allows the rifle to not rise as much or move as much for recoil reduction. And so what I'm running from JP is their silent capture system. I ran it last year in a different rifle setup, and so we're continuing that this year with the same silent capture system from JP that kind of reduces the rise of the muzzle as I'm shooting downrange. All right, grip and stock, ladies and gents. Grip is the MOE K2 from Magpul. I've ran the same grip for like 4 years in a row. I ain't changing. It's stippled, same word, whatever, apples and oranges, from FDA Coatings, who does my amazing paint job, by the way. Justin's awesome, so if you need somebody to do a paint job, hit that bro up, he can do anything. He stippled it. What that essentially does is he goes in there and makes this thing just rough as crud. So we can't use chalk, so any way I can get around to make my rifle rougher from the concept, you know, we obviously put, like I talked about, we use the M-Lock from JP that's a little bit rougher. I want the same thing on my grip. So we're using the K2 down here from Magpul, and then their stock-wise, we're using the Magpul DT-PR stock from them. This is the first year I've ran this. I actually like this setup. In years past, I've used a different stock setup from Magpul. We're gonna switch it up this year and try something different. All right, now that we've discussed the full kind of gun part of it, let's talk about the optic, right? So how am I hitting anything with this firearm? Okay, so on the top, my 12 o'clock optic, I am running the Leupold Mark V, 3.6 to 18. And reticle-wise, I'm using a PR2 in mil. I ran the same reticle and optic last year, loved it. This is the non-illuminated version. You might be asking yourself, hey, Jacob, seems like a majority of your guys' shots are like 75 yards on paper. Why are you running this big of an optic? Great question. So for tactical games, we're usually, majority of the time, shooting paper at distance could be from 30 yards from a rifle all the way out to 320 yards. Well, having a little bit more magnification on your optic, in my personal perspective, I like it. It's an advantage to me, right? So if we're shooting paper out at 175, 200 yards, what I can use this optic to do is kind of crank up the magnification, make sure, hey, is my point of aim and my point of impact matching up to where I think it should be? Or, hey, am I pushing too much on my handguard and having a little barrel deflection? Or is the wind adjusting where I'm shooting? Or is my optic just completely off? And that allows me to change my point of aim to make sure that I'm impacting on the target as I should be doing. So, and then after I make sure point of aim is point of impact, I'll back that thing back down and then lace the target as such. So I like having a little bit more magnification, allows you to have more options available to you when you are competing. Am I using the 18 power all the time? Of course, 5-yard target, crank that sucker up. No, I'm not using the 18 power all the time. I probably don't go past a 10 or a 12 a majority of the time. So that's my 12 o'clock optic. From the side, we have an offset Delta Point Pro, is what I'm running on I don't know, 35, 45 degree offset there. A lot of people, when they look at the offset optic for the red dot, they think, okay, well, you know, how often are you using that? Well, I've already talked about one course of fire where it's like, hey, close paper. I'm not using this on anything, you know, very like accuracy based, like, hey, I need to shoot this really small target, like really close by. I'm always using this. So my main optic is gonna be zeroed at 100 meters with a 77 grain, but my offset optic, I don't care too much about accuracy. If that's inside like a 2 to 3 inch circle at 15 meters, I'm golden. I'm zeroing this optic, my offset on a 55 grain, because again, doesn't need to shoot 77 grain, and I'm only planning on shooting it like max 30 yards more than likely. So that's 0 to 15 meters like I talked about. So Brian told me to say this, but you might be wondering to yourself, why is this sitting here? Is it just there to take up space? And we're not even here to talk about this gun. Well, we talked about this in the previous YouTube video. We discussed my actual PCC setup. Brian will put it somewhere on the screen to make it look really cool. And now that we have actually finished my 2025 tactical game setup, we talked about it previously, was I wanted them to be very similar. So I wanted you to kind of see the similarities between them, right? I wanted the same handguard. If I was just shooting PCC, I probably would have gone for their JP, their rounded kind of well-known handguard, but because I shoot tac games primarily and I don't want a rounded handguard, that I want these two handguards that look the same. So we have pretty much the same gun, right? The same stock, the same grip. The only difference is the barrel here is 14.5 versus 16. That's mainly the only difference, and obviously you have the same optic setups for the offset, except for the only difference is I don't have a large Leupold offset or main optic on here. So I want these to be really similar. And that's kind of was the goal, was as I'm practicing PCC for, you know, action stages, that kind of perspective, from a PCC perspective, I wanted there still to be some carryover for the look and feel of how the gun feels in my arms. Now, this is obviously heavier. There's obviously some big differences in terms of recoil reduction, but I wanted to be as much similarity as we can get. That way, when I'm training this, it still hopefully somewhat carries over to this for TAC games. All right, so now we've covered my 2025 TAC Games rifle from JP. We're gonna actually use it, put it to use. We're gonna jump straight into a TAC game style stage with some sandbag weave. All right, on today's tactical game stage we're gonna be doing today, we've got ourselves 3 sets of 2 minutes on and 2 minutes off. Inside that 2 minutes, we're gonna be doing 8 sandbag weaves. Essentially is I have a 100-pound sandbag, I'm going over the bar with the sandbag, then I'm going over the bar, then I'm going through the middle with the sandbag, me and the sandbag, then I'm going underneath with me and the sandbag. So think about like 3 different sections, and I have to put me and the sandbag through each of those sections. Once I finish the whole rep at the bottom of it, that's 1 repetition. So I'm doing that 8 times through. Then I'm shooting 10 rifle shots at 30 yards on the target. And so what's the goal for this, right? The goal is I always want to shoot 85%. So I don't think I really want to drop more than 1 shot per set. So I'll only drop like 3 to 4 total is kind of my goal. And try to stay fluid on the fitness part. If I'm choppy, if my heart rate spikes, I'm gonna drop more. So trying to stay fluid over here on the sandbag part. And my goal is like, if I'm gonna shoot 10 rounds of rifle, I need at least 30 seconds of good time to shoot. So I'm gonna have to finish the fitness portion in about 110 to 115 in order to give myself a couple seconds to get over here, rest, and take accurate shots on target. All right. Going in 3, 2, 1. I got like, can't see it, but I'm really tender right here. I'm bruised up. Because when you pick up the sandbag and put it over, you whack your forearm on it. I'm being a little turd, okay? I'm complaining. A lot of spitting, I know. 108 again. Picked it up at 130. Finished at 150. Drop one. Let's look at the target now. All right. Round one, dropped one. Round two, 0. Round three, dropped one. I know what you're thinking. What's this? This is me checking to make sure my 0 was on, and I was aiming for the staple, so spot on. This is me striking a power pose at the end of this workout. Okay, finished up 3 sets, dropped 3, so that's 90%? No, yeah, 90%, so that's pretty good. We're getting ready for TAC game season. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about the rifle I'm running, the rifle setup you might be running at TAC games in the future, ask away in the comments down below. If you have any questions about how to train for the tactical games, I run the training for the tactical games online training program for complete. Please ask away. Other than that, have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys in the next one.